Good evening, everyone. I'm Amrita, and today we will be discussing questions for week 7. This is a live interactive session for week 7 of the Animal Physiology course. Good evening, everyone. And we'll start our class now. Whoever has not joined, they can join in the due time, right? It's already 6:15 and we'll start our class. And I hope all the students present are old students and they have been continuously joining to the interactive sessions. And as I always say, it is very important to attend the lectures before coming to this session, as we will be discussing questions related to the lectures of week 7. This is our week 7, and we have already completed 6 weeks of live interactive session, and we have discussed many questions on neural system in the last few weeks, and today also there is another discussion session for the neural system. And we have some very interesting questions, and I guess everyone knows the rules. We'll be discussing 10 questions today, and I'll read out the question. You can see the question in your screen, and we will I'll give you 1 minute time to think and answer the question. You all can answer the question in the chat box. Okay, only in the chat box. I don't want anyone to unmute their audios or videos. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute time. You need to think properly. 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever time you need, I'll give you. You need to think properly and answer correctly in the chat box. I'll be seeing the chat box continuously. I'll be seeing all your answers. You don't need to worry if you have not attended the lectures, but it is requested to please attend the lectures. Even if you have not, try to guess, try to understand the question and answer it. Even if it's wrong, we'll discuss the correct answer and then correct explanation to it. Okay, so we'll start now, and I'll be seeing your answers in the chat box. Okay, so we'll start with our first question. So, our first question is, dash affects memory because of degeneration of mostly dash. Dash affects memory because of degeneration of mostly dash. Options are Parkinson's disease, hippocampal neurons, Alzheimer's disease, motor cortex neurons, Parkinson's disease, motor cortex neurons, or Alzheimer's disease, hippocampal neurons. Your time starts now. Start answering. And I want answers from all the students present in this class. Please try to be active, answer actively, then only this interactive session can be a success, right? Think wisely and answer. You have the time, have time. I have given you time, think and answer. Dash affects memory because of degeneration of mostly. Okay, people have started giving answers. Very nice. I'm waiting for answers from all the students present in this class. Don't have to worry, even if it's wrong, we'll discuss the right answer. But please try to answer. Okay? And yes, I want every one of you to please note down how many correct answers and how many wrong answers everyone is giving. We'll check your score at the last. Okay? We'll have started giving answers. Very nice. Think properly and answer. Which of these is the disease that affects the memory? Is it Parkinson's disease or is it Alzheimer's disease? I want answers from each one of you. These questions will help you practice your concepts or your lectures that you have attended, and also you must have got 10 more questions for the present year assignment. These Answering these questions will help you to think through those questions as well. This is the whole motto of this interactive session. So unless you answer in this interactive session, it is a failure, right? So everyone has answered? No more answers? I can't see every student answering in the chat box. I can only request everyone to answer, but if you don't want to answer, nothing can be done, right? It's good if you answer it. Okay, time up. We'll discuss what is the correct answer to the first question. And yes, as all of you who has answered the questions, every one of you is correct. Alzheimer's disease affects memory because of degeneration of mostly hippocampal neurons. So, what is Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia. Dementia is nothing but memory loss, like slow progress of memory loss with aging, right? So Alzheimer's disease, people affected with Alzheimer's disease, they get memory loss, and eventually because of the buildup of the aggregating protein in the brains, the brain neurons start damaging, the brain cells start damaging. So this damaging of the neurons leads to decline in the cognitive abilities, that is decline in the function of the brain, like memory, comprehension, attention, behavior. If you have in many movies they show Alzheimer's disease patients. If you all have noticed in some movies, you can know that with age, basically this Alzheimer's disease happens with aging. With aging, our the brain cells start getting damaged, and because of the damage of these brain cells, you can have a decline in the memory. You start forgetting things, you are unable to focus on the things, you are unable to comprehend, you are unable to analyze your environment, you are not attentive, your behavior starts becoming weird. All these are symptoms of the Alzheimer's disease. Here you can see the picture of a healthy brain and a picture of a healthy neuron, and you can here see the picture of an Alzheimer's disease brain. See, um, you can see the spiral views here, how the brain looks. It is so different from the healthy brain. And if you compare the neurons, you can see this is a healthy neuron, whereas when this neuron starts dying or getting damaged, tangles form around the dendrites because of the aggregating protein called as amyloid beta. Amyloid beta is one of the most aggregating protein found in Alzheimer's disease patients, and these aggregating proteins, they damage the neurons by forming amyloid plaques. So Alzheimer's disease is a very progressive disease. With time, it starts getting worse, and till date, there are no treatments which can cure these disease, and extensive research is being done on Alzheimer's disease to find a cure. Okay, to find a proper treatment. So I guess everyone is clear what is Alzheimer's disease, how it happens, and what happens when a patient is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. We'll move on to the next question. It's again a similar kind of question. Dash affects movement because of degeneration of mostly Parkinson's disease hippocampal neurons, Alzheimer's disease motor cortex neurons, Parkinson's disease motor cortex neurons, or Alzheimer's disease hippocampal neurons. Your time starts now. Read the question properly and then answer. I want answers from each one of you. Try to think and answer. It is not very difficult to type in the chat box. You don't need a lot of energy to type in the chat box. So I guess everyone is typing their answers in the chat box. Okay? I can see only 3 answers till now. So okay, take your time but answer it. Only 4 answers? Rest of you doesn't know what is the correct answer? Even you can't guess? I think if you have understood the previous question, question number 1, you can definitely answer question number 2 even if you don't have the knowledge. Right? Yes, speed up guys, answer it. It's not a very difficult question, I guess. If you're unable to answer it, it's definitely needed that you should go back and attend the lectures, understand the class, and then come back and practice all these questions again. All these questions are present. Maybe you all will be getting this PPT as well as the YouTube video links, right? All the links of the YouTube, all the links of these classes are present in the YouTube session. Okay, is everyone done? Let's discuss what is the correct answer. So the correct answer is C. Parkinson's disease, motor cortex neurons. The previous question's answer was Alzheimer's disease, hippocampal neurons. So this question's answer is Parkinson's disease, motor cortex neurons. The previous question was dash affects memory. This question is dash affects movement. So Parkinson's disease affects movement because of degeneration of the motor cortex neurons. We'll see how. So here you can see same like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease also happens with aging. It happens, we can see this in the population of age around 50 to 60 after 50, right? But the major difference between these two diseases are, yes, these are brain disorders, these are neurological disorders, so you can say these are neurodegenerative disorders, but Alzheimer's disease affects memory, whereas Parkinson's disease affect movement, right? If here you can see the symptoms of the Parkinson's disease like tremor of the hands even at rest, persistent tremors. Tremors means shaking of hands, right? You can see here from the image. And shuffling gait, unbalanced and small steps curved in a characteristic way. With old age, our body starts curving, our backbone starts curving. We are unable to walk very fast. We walk in small steps. We are unable to balance our body properly, right? All of these symptoms become very intense if you have Parkinson's disease. And if you see the motor cortex neurons get damaged in this disease, which are present in the substantia nigra of our brain. Here you can see the substantia nigra of a healthy brain, whereas this is the substantia nigra of a Parkinson's disease patient. You can see the substantia nigra. These brown color strips are completely diminished in the Parkinson's disease patient, right? So, Parkinson's disease causes the damage of the dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra of the brain. That's why I guess we have discussed in the previous class that what dopamine plays role in the Parkinson's disease. We'll discuss about this again in this session in the upcoming questions. Okay, so I guess everyone is clear that Alzheimer's disease affects memory of the brain, and it is damages the hippocampal neurons, whereas Parkinson's disease affects movement and damages the motor cortex neurons. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Which of the following is a treatment for Parkinson's disease? Your options are amyloid beta, tau, L-DOPA, or all of the above. This is a question we have already discussed in the last session. This is a repeated question again for this session. So I hope everyone knows the correct answer. Start answering it. Yes, I don't think this question needs much time. Everyone must be knowing the answer that this is a very famous drug given to Parkinson's disease patient. And yes, like Alzheimer's disease has no cure till now, no cure for Parkinson's disease has been discovered yet, right? Therefore, both of these diseases are hot topics of research, right? Scientific research. Okay, I want answers from all of you. I am saying this again and again. I hope you are noting my words, right? So the correct answer is L-DOPA. So PD is associated, Parkinson's disease is mainly associated with low levels of dopamine. So treatments are needed which can replenish these dopamine levels in our body or mimic the action of dopamine in the brain, or it can replicate the action of dopamine in the brain. So L-DOPA is one such drug which can replenish the dopamine levels in our body. L-DOPA, also called as levodopa, is the drug which can convert the tyrosine in our brain to dopamine to replenish the dopamine levels in our body. Other drugs like oxidase B inhibitors are also there which mimic the action of dopamine, but it is not done by L-DOPA. The main function of L-DOPA is it replenishes the dopamine levels. It again balances out the dopamine levels that were decreased in a Parkinson's disease patient brain by converting the tyrosine in our brain to dopamine, and then the dopamine are released by the neurons for the cell signaling, whatever in whatever cell signaling they are involved, right? So I guess everyone is clear. L-DOPA is the treatment for Parkinson's disease. We'll move to the next question. Electrical conductivity of neuronal cells would dash in absence of myelination. Option A, increase. Option B, decrease. Option C, remain same. Or option D, name none of the above. This concept also we have discussed in week 6 or week 5, I guess. This is again a repeat question, only a new kind of question. But the concept I have already taught in the previous sessions. Electrical conductivity of neuronal cells would dash in absence of myelination. We have already discussed about myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. What is the difference between the myelinated and the unmyelinated neurons? So I think everyone can give the correct answer. Okay. I want answers from all of you. Just don't join the class and sit silent. Try to think about the question and answer it. Answer it confidently. There's no point in joining the class if you don't want to answer, isn't it? So if you have joined the class, you should definitely try to think and answer for all the questions we are discussing today, right? Okay, I'm getting multiple answers. Some are saying increases, some are saying decreases, some are saying remain same. I guess. If you are still not clear about this concept of myelination and demyelination, right? Okay, no worries, we'll discuss it again. So, the correct answer is decrease. Electrical conductivity of neuronal cells would decrease in absence of myelination. Myelination, what do you mean by myelination? Neurons covered with myelin sheath. These are the myelinated neurons. And if there are myelin sheaths, there are gaps between these myelin sheaths known as the nodes of Ranvier. So there are two types of neurons. One can have axon which are unmyelinated. They don't have the myelin sheath. Whereas the neurons in which there are myelin sheath is present throughout the axon with nodes of Ranvier in between the gaps. So what happens? The presence of this myelin sheath helps the axon to speed up the electrical transmission through saltatory conduction, right? I've already discussed what is saltatory conduction. Saltatory conduction is nothing but jumping of the electrical signals from one node of Ranvier to the other node of Ranvier. This can only happen if nodes of Ranvier are present, and this is only present in myelinated neurons. So in myelinated neurons, the electrical signals jump from one gap to another. Whereas in unmyelinated neurons, they happen at a slow pace. So if myelination is not present in the neurons, the electrical conductivity decreases. It doesn't go like it is not totally removed, but it decreases, right? Whereas in unmyelinated neurons, the electrical conductivity happens at a very slow rate, whereas due to the presence of myelin sheath, this electrical conductivity increases in case of the myelinated neurons as the action potentials hop between the gaps of these myelin sheath called nodes of Ranvier, as you can see from the figure here, right? You can see from the figure, this figure is very clearly depicting what we want to say, right? I guess everyone is clear. We'll move on to the next question. Okay. Question number 5. Which of these is the property of the neurons that carry pain signal? Which of these is the property of the neurons that carry pain signal? Option A, they have huge levels of myelination, they have no cell bodies, they are unmyelinated, or none of the above. Start answering, think properly and answer the question. Okay, I can see some people are answering all the questions correctly till now, I guess. Very good. Keep up the spirit. Keep studying. I want answers from all of you, all of you. Still 5 questions are left. Time is going. I want answers from all of you. Okay. So we'll discuss what is the correct answer. I guess everyone is done answering, right? Which of these is the property of the neurons that carry pain signal? So, the correct answer is they are unmyelinated. I guess most of you have given the correct answer. So neurons which are unmyelinated are mainly involved in carrying pain signals. We'll discuss how. So here you can see that pain occurs when the nerve endings, the sensory nerve endings called as the nociceptors, also known as pain receptors. These pain receptors, when they come in contact with a painful stimulus, like we if we if we touch something painful, a harmful thing we touched and we got a pain, then this painful stimulus is sensed by these nerve endings called as pain receptors, and because of this nerve ending the impulse travels from the sensory nerve ending to the nerve tracts in the spinal cord and in the brainstem. You can see these are the pain receptors present, and when we get stimulus of a pain by touching a harmful object, The impulse of this pain travels from this nerve receptor to our brainstem and spinal cord, and then our brain processes this pain sensation and quickly makes a motor response, like we withdraw our hand from that object as soon as possible. You can see how fast this signal happens, because as soon as we touch it, we remove our hand from that object when we think of the pain, right? So it happens in like this nanoseconds or milliseconds. So the question was unmyelinated fibers. Our answer was that there are two types of fibers, unmyelinated as well as myelinated delta fibers, both of which are involved in carrying pain signals, but most of it is done by the unmyelinated C fibers, which respond to these thermal, mechanical or chemical stimuli that we get, pain stimuli, and produce the sensation of this dull, diffuse, aching, burning or delayed pain, like the slow pain which we get, like a headache or burning sensation, like that. And whereas sharp pains, that is the speed pain or fast pain, these signals are responded by the myelinated fibers, whereas the most of the pain signals are carried by the unmyelinated C fibers. You can go through the slides very clearly through the PPTs given to you. Right? We'll move on to the next question. Which of these can myelinate multiple neurons? Which of these can myelinate multiple neurons? Oligodendrocyte, astrocyte, microglia, all of the above. Your time starts now. This also we have discussed in the last class, right? Which are the myelinating cells in the nervous system? I want answers from all of. I can see only 6, 7 people answering. What are the rest of the people doing? Are they only joining and then doing their own work? Is it? Yeah, try to answer. It's not a very difficult question. I don't think we're discussing very difficult questions, right? They are not very twisted or confused questions. They're very direct questions. Only that if you know the facts, you can definitely answer it. So for that, you need to attend the lectures and then come to the session, right? Okay, is everyone done giving the answer? Okay, I can see some more answers. Nice, nice. A, oligodendrocytes. You all think oligodendrocytes is the right answer? Okay, let's see if it is the correct answer. Yes, oligodendrocytes are the cells that myelinate multiple neurons. In the previous class only we have discussed that there are two types of nervous system. One is the central nervous system and one in the peripheral nervous system. And there are two types of cells involved in myelination in both these nervous system. The oligodendrocytes are involved in myelinating in the central nervous system, whereas Schwann cells are involved in the myelination in the peripheral nervous system. Because Schwann cells was not an option in the four options given, it's obvious that oligodendrocyte is the right answer. Rest of the options, astrocytes, microglia, are not involved in myelination of neurons. And if you see, these an individual oligodendrocytes can myelinate as many as 40 to 50 axons, and this myelination helps in the rapid saltatory conduction throughout the CNS. We have already discussed what is the saltatory conduction. That is the jumping of the electrical signals from one node of Ranvier to the other node of Ranvier. And this myelination of the axon is done by the oligodendrocytes in the CNS. Okay, I guess everyone is clear. And Swan says myelinate the neurons in the peripheral nervous system. Okay, I guess everyone is clear with both these terms. We'll move to the next question. SOD1 mutation is mostly linked to ALS, running, epilepsy, Alzheimer's disease. SOD1 mutation is mostly linked to. Your time starts now. Start answering. SOD1. Is everyone done? Done with the answer? It's a very small question. And if you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, don't know it. SOD1 mutation is mostly linked to. Okay, okay, I can see many people answering A. ALS. What is the full form of ALS? Okay, does anyone know? Type it in the chat box. What is the full form of ALS? What is the full form of ALS? Oh, good, good, very good. Okay. So the correct answer is ALS. So, like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, ALS is also a neurodegenerative disorder. Like Alzheimer's disease happens because of the aggregation of the amyloid beta protein. Parkinson's disease happens because of the aggregation of the alpha synuclein protein or mutations in the alpha synuclein gene. Similarly, ALS or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis happens because of the mutations in these SOD1 gene, right? And this, because of ALS, what happens? You can see the affected nerve muscles in the this is also a kind of movement disorder, and this is mostly happens because of the mutant SOD1 gene, which again aggregates and doesn't and damage our motor neurons or makes it very sick. As you can see here, atrophied neurons, the neurons shrink down and cause movement disorder in our body, right? And you can see here the causes of ALS like protein aggregation, mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress, glutamate induced excitotoxicity. This is one of the main causes of ALS. Like yes, we discussed about excitation of the neurons through electrical conduction, but also excess excitation of neurons also leads to toxicity in the neurons, and this is mainly induced by the glutamate ions. Okay, it's mainly induced by the glutamate. This is also a very prime cause of ALS. We'll move on to the next question. Riluzole is mostly associated with Riluzole is mostly associated with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, ALS, or none of the above. Riluzole is also a treatment, a drug given to which of these diseases? Okay, start answering. Riluzole is mostly associated with. I want answers from each one of you. It's okay if you have not heard about Relusel. Try to guess and give an answer. Only when you give a wrong answer, you can remember the right answer correctly. But if you don't even attend the question and come, then you won't be able to remember the right answer as well. After some days, you'll again forget the correct answer. Okay, I can see A, B, A, B. Let's see what is the right answer. So the correct answer is C. I think only one student has given the correct answer. That is ALS. Very good. Whoever has given the correct answer. Riluzole is mostly associated with ALS. Right? We were discussing about ALS only previously. So Riluzole is also a drug. You can see an inhibitor or agonist. In this signaling, you can see riluzole here. So what happens? Riluzole inhibits the release of the glutamate into the synaptic cleft through the sodium channel independent mechanism. So riluzole inhibits the release of glutamate. As I said that glutamate is involved in excess excitement of the neurons, which leads to excitotoxicity, right? Excitotoxicity, right? So glutamate is so inhibition of glutamate is done by riluzole. Till date, only two anti-glutamatergic drugs have been approved for the treatment of ALS. One is the riluzole, that is a small molecule inhibitor, whereas the other one is an antioxidant called edaravone. Edaravone. Riluzole and edaravone are the two drugs, interventional drugs, have been approved for treatment of ALS to date. Rest, no other drugs have been approved for treatment of ALS. Okay, I guess everyone is clear. We'll move on to the next question. Read the following three statements. Hippocampus contains pyramidal neuron. Hippocampus contains interneurons. Hippocampus contains astrocytes. Hippocampus contains oligodendrocytes. So out of these four statements, which of the statements are true? Statement A and B are true, or statement A, B, C are true, or statement A, B, C, D all are true, or statement A, C and D are true. Think correct wisely and give the answer. Start answering, read the question properly and answer. Actually, there are four statements, not three statements. Is everyone answering? We are already at the end of our session. This is the ninth question. We have only one more question to discuss. Here up, guys. Okay, I'm getting multiple answers A, B, C, D. Let's see what is the correct answer. The correct answer is C. All the statements are true. All pyramidal neurons, interneurons, astrocytes, and oligodendrocytes, all of them are present in hippocampus. Here you can see in hippocampus pyramidal neurons as well as inhibitory interneurons are present in the hippocampus, whereas glial cells like oligodendrocytes and astrocytes are also present in the hippocampus. This was a very simple question. We'll move on to our last question. Which of these is electrically inactive? Which of these is electrically inactive? Glia, skeletal muscle, cardiomyocytes, or motor neurons? Which of these is electrically inactive? Start answering. Whoever is raising a hand, please type your query in the chat box. Which of these is electrically inactive? Glia, skeletal muscle, cardiomyocytes, or motor neurons? This is our last question. Then we'll see how much each one of you have scored. People who are joining late, I'm requesting every one of you to please join within 10 minutes of the start of the session. Like I can give time from 6 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. But after 6:15 p.m. I definitely need to start the class. Otherwise, we won't be able to cover all the 10 questions. Right? So I'm giving 15 minutes leverage for all of you to join. Please don't miss the sessions. It will only help you in practicing your concepts. Right? Which of these is electrically inactive? Glia, skeletal muscle. Okay, someone is writing explanation also. Very good, very good. Okay, so the correct answer is glia. So as I have shown in the figure, oligodendrocytes, schwann cells, microglial cells, ependymal cells, and astrocytes. All these are examples of glia or glial cells or gliocytes or neuroglia. You can call it anything. These are the non-neuronal cells present in the central nervous system, that is in the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral neuron nervous system too, and these glial cells do not produce any electrical impulses. That's why they are called as electrically inactive cells. They do not produce any kind of electrical impulses that we have discussed previously, like the action potential. Okay, so these are electrically inactive cells, and rest all the options, skeletal muscles, cardiomyocytes, motor neurons, all of them are electrically active cells. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear with the explanation of all the 10 answers. So now I want to see how much each one of you have scored. Write down your scores out of 10 in the chat box. Okay, Arshi 8 out of 10. Good, very good. Vijay Kumar Sahu 10 out of 10. Wow, nice, very nice. This is the first session in which I can see a 10 on 10. Very good. I know every one of you can give correct answers and score a 10 on 10. Only you need to, ma'am, third question. Okay, let's see what was the third question. Okay, which of the following is a treatment for the Parkinson's disease? I think we have discussed already in the last session too that L-DOPA is the treatment for the Parkinson's disease. And if you see PD, Parkinson's disease is mainly associated with low levels of dopamine. Like these PD patients have low levels of dopamine in their brain, and this dopamine level need to be replenished again. So Parkinson disease patients are given treatment of a drug called L-DOPA or levodopa, which converts the tyrosine in our body into dopamine. And dopamine is a neurotransmitter that does the neurotransmission and is involved in many of the signaling processes in our brain. It is a very important neurotransmitter, but as it is decreased in patients affected with PD, L-DOPA is the drug which is given to these patients to replenish these dopamine levels, right? I guess now it is clear. One more, fourth question. Fourth question you want? So electrical conductivity of neuronal cells would decrease in the, yes, I've already said that there are two types of neurons. One is the myelinated neurons and another is the unmyelinated neurons, right? So what is the difference actually? Myelin sheath is present in the axon of the myelinated neurons, whereas in the unmyelinated neurons, myelin sheath is absent. And in between these myelin sheaths, there are nodes of Ranvier. The gaps are called as the nodes of Ranvier in the myelinated neurons in this myelin sheath. So what happens? The electrical transmission or the electrical impulse hops from one node of Ranvier to another. It jumps from one node of Ranvier to the another in case of the myelinated neurons. Right? So if you jump from one spot to another from a big gap, like obviously you will cover the distance in a very short period of time as compared to someone who is walking very slowly. Right? If you jump from one spot to another, you will reach the finish line very fast, whereas someone who is walking at a normal pace will reach the finish line later. So that is the concept in myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. Electrical impulses are transmitted in both the kind of neurons, but in unmyelinated neurons, the electrical impulses transmit from at a very normal pace, whereas in the case of myelinated neurons, saltatory conduction happens. That is, the electrical impulse jumps from one node of Ranvier to the another node of Ranvier, or you can say action potential. The action potential hops between the gaps of these myelinated sheath called the nodes of Ranvier, which increases the speed of the electrical conductivity to a fold of 100. To a fold of 100. So if there is no myelination, the electrical conductivity automatically decreases. That was our question. The electrical conductivity of neuronal cells would decrease in absence of myelination. Right? I guess everyone is clear now. Okay, it's already 7 p.m. We'll end our discussion today here and we'll meet again next week, same time, same day. And I hope everyone is attending the lectures continuously and keep up the spirit. We'll meet again next time. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you. Thank you.